Elian Morrow was 7 years old when he was slapped by a god. He was small for his age, brown-haired, olive-skinned, cheeks still too round to belong in any serious conflict. He wore a dirt-streaked blue hoodie 2 sizes too big, and sneakers that had once lit up with every step but now barely stayed together. He was nobody, a civilian son, just a kid waiting with his class near Unity Square on a day they were told would be historical. It was, just not the way anyone expected. The Galactic King of Velda, Violroth the Infinite, descended onto Earth like a living myth, 9 feet tall, skin like deep-marbled amethyst, a jaw lined in ritual bone plating, shoulders heavy with a cloak spun from the night-black silk of Velda's void spiders. His crown, a halo of obsidian horns, never tilted. Not once. Even gravity bowed to this thing. He strode into Unity Square as if Earth had already surrendered, flanked by 4 armored attendants, each one holding a golden lance longer than a tank. Earth's high diplomat, Cerelian, greeted him with a bow so deep it might have cracked a lesser spine. The cameras blinked. Media drones buzzed overhead. Half the planet was watching. Behind the security barriers, students lined up in rows, waving flags and blinking through confusion, excitement, and boredom. Elian was at the edge of his group, clutching a cheap sticker of the Earth flag. That was when it happened. A breeze, a shift, a teacher calling out roll, and Elian, 7 and curious, stepped past a thin black line on the pavement. 2 steps forward, 2 steps too far. His shoulder clipped the king's armored leg. Everything froze. The lance guards tensed. The diplomats went pale. The cameras panned down. A gasp rippled through the gathered audience like a contagious plague of fear. Varelroth looked down. The king's eyes were black pearls set in lava cracks. Ancient, unblinking. They studied Elian like he wasn't a child but an insect with too many legs. His lips curled back, revealing ceremonial gold fangs filed to edge. And then, without a word, without a pause, he struck. A single, open palm slap. The sound cracked like lightning against a steel drum. Elian's body flew sideways like a bag of laundry hurled from a rooftop. His head whiplashed midair. Blood exploded from his nose as his cheek bloated crimson. He hit the marble steps of the Earth Unity Monument hard, bone snapping, skull bouncing, skin ripping on impact. The silence that followed wasn't peace. It was a void. Even the drones stopped humming. Elian didn't get up. He didn't cry. He couldn't. He twitched once, then went still. The king looked down at his purple palm, then wiped it on his chest plate, as if he had just swatted away a fly. "Teach your spawn respect," he snarled, and he walked on. The Earth delegate said nothing. Nobody moved. Nobody even reached for the child. Except one man. Elian's father, Caleb Morrow, broke through the barricade, dodging the frozen guards, sliding across the stone to scoop his son into his arms. Caleb was a systems engineer, a civilian, not a soldier. But in that moment, his scream split the air like artillery. "He's just a boy," he howled, clutching Elian's limp body against his chest. Blood smeared his shirt. "He's 7. You, monster." The guards moved to intercept him. Caleb didn't care. He was crying, rocking his son, eyes begging someone, anyone, to do something. Still, no one did. Not Cerelian. Not the security teams. Not the world leaders watching from their secure feeds. Because Earth had been silent for too long. But silence isn't the same as weakness. Somewhere beneath the city, in a server room lined with black titanium, a screen flickered. A retinal alert blinked red. Protocol, black flag, code, Infantis. A trigger pulled. A clock started. 2 hours. That was all Earth would allow. 2 hours before history split into before the slap and after. It was later said that the sound of Elian's slap was heard from space. That orbiting satellites caught the boy's flight frame by frame, detailing the exact angle his cheekbone shattered. That a sound wave engineer rewound the audio, slowed it down, and determined that in that fraction of a second, the crowd didn't just go silent. Every bird in the square stopped mid-wing beat. But the truth was more haunting. It wasn't the slap that changed everything. It was the look in Caleb Morrow's eyes. Not rage. Not despair. Promise. He looked at the blood on his son's cheek and saw fire. He looked at the diplomat standing frozen and saw betrayal. He looked at the sky and knew Earth would burn it all down. And somewhere in the command bunkers beneath Eurasia, the Black Flag Division stirred from hibernation. They didn't need permission. They didn't need orders. They only needed a reason. And the Galactic King had just given it to them. With one slap, in front of a live audience spanning 50 billion viewers across the galactic net. That single act would cost a dynasty its blood, and it would remind the universe of one simple law. Earth does not forget. Earth does not forgive. Earth has monsters of its own. Earth did not declare war. It didn't hold press conferences, didn't call for votes, didn't ask the Galactic Council for permission. It didn't explain, because some wounds don't require words. And some answers don't come in language, they come in blood. 2 hours after God slapped a child, Earth woke its ghosts. Site 9 Delta, Greenland, 200 meters below glacial rock. A black door opened. No sirens, just silence and steam. Inside that door was something older than the current Earth president. Older than any treaty signed after the Great Intergalactic Accord. Barrett, denied, decommissioned. The Black Flag Division. Officially, they didn't exist. Unofficially, they were the reason the Esraka Empire never invaded again. The reason the siege of Proxima only lasted 6 minutes. The reason there are no photos left of the planet Mulvex. 3 names were pulled from the dead list. Revenant, Ash, Boyd. No ranks. No serial numbers. Just code names spoken like curses. They weren't told what happened. They didn't ask. All they saw was a file. One image, a boy's face, swollen and bloody, and the coordinates of Velda Prime. That was enough. Revenant, Sniper, Phantom, shadow-stitched and silent. He looked like a model carved out of marble, angular, cruel, too pretty to be real. Black hair fell across his left eye. His lips rarely moved. His heart hadn't beat in 12 years. When he spoke, it was only in confirmed kills. He had 307 of them, all headshots. They said he could kill through 4 walls at once. That he once shot a dictator mid-speech from another continent. That his rifle didn't fire bullets, just consequences. When they handed him the case file, he didn't blink. He loaded 1 bullet, etched a name on it, Elian, then vanished. No aircraft, no warp gate, just gone. He didn't need transport. He needed line of sight. ASH, hacker, infiltrator, ghost in the code. He was pale as glass, freckles like static, and eyes like needles, sharp, narrow, unblinking. Wore no armor, needed none. His weapons were wires and whispers. Ash didn't break into systems. He became them. Entire starships had shut down mid-flight because Ash decided they should. On Mars, he once turned a capital city's entire population against its ruling AI in under 2 minutes. He smiled when they handed him the mission. "I've been bored," he whispered. And then all of Velda's planetary firewalls began to die, one by one, like arteries slashed open by a grinning scalpel. Boyd, executioner, the hammer Earth hides. Boyd looked like a boy you wouldn't notice. Soft features, skinny, dead eyes, framed too light for a soldier. But he moved like a wolf in a house full of sleeping children. He didn't carry guns. He carried a bat, made of collapsed neutron alloy. One swing could break a tank in half. But he didn't swing often. He walked, slow, smiling. He liked getting close. He liked the sound. Together, they were the end of things. Not soldiers, not even assassins. Just a countdown no one could stop. And the countdown had begun. Hour 0 plus 34 minutes. Velda Prime detected an unauthorized breach on Orbit 12. A satellite blinked out. No alarm triggered. Why? Because Ash had rewritten their alert protocols to ignore human presence. Human equals wildlife. By the time they noticed, 2 palace towers had collapsed. Not from explosions, from inside. Revenant had already killed 3 of Alrutha's sons. Not with rifles, with shards of glass sharpened to razor slivers. Silent, bloody, 1 scream per floor. A 4th prince died with a bullet through his teeth, mid-sentence, giving a speech about how Earth lacked true nobility. The bullet entered his mouth, exited the back of his head, hit the minister of ritual law standing behind him. 1 round, 2 corpses. Efficiency, hour 0 plus 51 minutes. Ash bled into their communication systems. Every holoscreen across the palace blinked blue. Then a face appeared. Alien. Blooded. Breathing. Then frozen on a single frame, the exact moment the king's hand met the child's face. Looped. Over. And over. And over. Ash forced every member of the royal court to watch it, before locking every door, sealing every escape pod, and cutting oxygen to all inner chambers. They died clawing walls, eyes wide, unable to scream. Hour 0 + 1 hour, 3 minutes. Boyd entered the throne corridor. Didn't knock, didn't run, just strolled in, dragging the bat, echoing with each step. The prince who stood in his way, a gold-armored warrior, bred in laboratories, enhanced with Eldarian core serums, charged with a war cry that once sent enemies fleeing. Boyd didn't even look at him. One swing. The prince's legs separated from his torso. 2 seconds later, Boyd was eating fruit from the royal table, chewing slowly, looking into the security cams like he dared someone to stop him. No one did. Hour 0 + 1 hour, 22 minutes. The royal bloodline began to collapse, one by one, systematically. No survivors, no second chances. Each death was personal, tailored. A daughter drowned in her gold-plated bath after Ash reversed the gravity in her quarters. A concubine lord turned to ash when Revenant remotely overcharged his plasma implants. The high priest was executed mid-prayer. Boyd kneeled beside him, folded his hands, whispered amen, then shattered his spine with one punch. Hour 0 + 1 hour, 45 minutes. The king still lived. For now, he had fled to the Citadel Vault, 5 miles beneath the core of Velda, sealed behind triple-layered quantum shields, encoded with DNA locks only his bloodline could access. Perfectly safe, until Ash overrode the gene lock, and Revenant found the ventilation shaft. And Boyd whispered through the door, "Open up, Your Highness. You've got a visitor." The king's voice came crackling through a rusted speaker. "Earth will die for this." Revenant's voice, from somewhere unseen. "We're counting on it." Hour 0 + 1 hour, 59 minutes, 40 seconds. Boyd stepped into the citadel, covered in dust, eyes empty, bat in hand. Vial stood waiting, plasma blade lit, screaming, trembling. "You dare stand before your king." Boyd blinked, then grinned. "We're not here for your title." He pointed the bat. "We're here for your blood." What happened next wasn't a fight. It was butchery. Revenant took out the king's knee from 3 kilometers away, the bullet traveling through 7 layers of metal. Ash dropped the lights. Boyd walked forward in pitch darkness. And then came the sound of the bat. 1, 2, 3 times. Then silence. No final words. No scream. Just a crack. And a long, slow exhale. At hour 0 + 2 hours. To the second, Earth broadcast a single message across the galactic net. A boy's face. A slap. A crown. Then fire. And the words, "You hurt one of ours. We erased all of yours." Velda Prime had never seen war. Not in 500 years. Its skies were the color of sapphire wine. Its towers shimmered with lattice gold and floating opal glass. Every citizen was born into ceremony, into order, into unquestioned rule beneath the bloodline of Varroth the Infinite. To speak against the throne was treason. To question the king was madness. And to imagine his full heresy of the highest kind. So when the first tower exploded, from within, Velda didn't believe it. Not at first. They thought it was a simulation. A test. Perhaps even a drill. Fire danced from the royal library. Debris rained down on cobbled crystal streets. People stayed, unmoving. Then came the second tower. And the screams. Because there, standing amid the smoke, wearing a black earth insignia on his collar and a sniper rifle longer than most children, was the one called Revenant. He didn't run. He walked, every step deliberate, every breath measured. He looked like death wrapped in pale skin and silence, hair falling across one eye, lips unreadable. His body moved like shadow through blood. He didn't speak, not once. He simply lifted the rifle, named Judas, and pressed the trigger. A round screamed into the skull of Prince Kerrix, the 6th son of Iolroth, who had just stepped onto a landing pad. The bullet passed clean through. split his head like a dropped melon. His guards froze in horror. Another shot, another head. Revenant kept walking. He was alone, but the palace felt like it was being invaded by an army. 23 minutes and 1 second. Somewhere inside the planetary core, Ash had cracked the royal firewall. Not hacked, not infiltrated. Rewritten it. The Veldarian Nexus no longer obeyed its creators. It obeyed him. He danced his fingers across a ghost keyboard, lying horizontal inside a vent shaft deep beneath the palace data core, his body stretched out like a sleeping serpent. He wore no armor, no helmet, just a thin black mesh suit and a headset that pulsed with lights. Above him, every comm system on the planet flickered, then played the footage again. The child, the slap, the king's face. Loop, loop, loop. Every citizen, every worker, every priest, every royal guard saw it, heard it. The moment, their god became just another tyrant with blood on his hands. And the one thing tyrants always forget, blood spills both ways. 35 minutes and 12 seconds. Inside the Hall of Relics, a wedding reception was underway. Prince Vila, fourth son, general, heir apparent, was marrying one of the genetically spliced seers of the Outer Hives. Over 1,000 guests packed the crystal floor. Laughter, music, floating orbs of pink wine hovered above heads, until the main doors exploded inward. A boy entered. No armor, no weapons on his back, just a bat in his hands, black and gleaming like something pulled from the belly of a dead star. Boyd. He dragged it along the floor, each step sending a metallic hum through the chamber. Guests froze. Who? Someone whispered. Boyd grinned. Then he swung. The first strike caved in the skull of a nobleman standing near the punch table. One swing. Bone, brain, and gold crown splattered across the walls. Screams followed. Guards rushed him. They shouldn't have. Boyd turned into a blur of violence, bat in a wide arc, spinning, swinging, smashing. Bones broke. Teeth flew. A jaw came off completely. Blood hit chandeliers. Dresses tore. Every swing a painting of ruin. He fought like an executioner at the end of time, expressionless, methodical, almost bored. When he reached the groom, he said only one word, Elian, then broke both his knees. Slowly, the prince didn't die fast. Boyd didn't allow it. The bride tried to run. She didn't get far. 51 minutes and 44 seconds. The entire palace was locked down, but it no longer mattered. The systems obeyed Ash. Guards couldn't access weapons lockers. Ships refused to fly. Even doors rejected royal blood. Ash had rewritten all biometric data. Every Veldarian noble was now tagged as a threat. When the king's third daughter begged her escort drone to fly her to safety, the drone replied, Negative. You are classified as a level 9 hostile entity. Goodbye. Then it ejected her from the landing pad. From 400 meters up. 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 18 seconds. Revenant scaled the spire of the king's astral library, using nothing but finger strength and a mono knife. Wind tore at his jacket. Laser turrets fired up, but they couldn't lock on. Ash had made him invisible to targeting AI. He found Prince Halks, the second son, the war general, the one who always wore medals for wars he never fought. Halks reached for his energy sword. Revenant didn't wait. He flipped the knife, drove it into Halks' clavicle, and kicked him off the tower. Halks fell, landed on the front steps of the royal temple, with a sound that silenced the crowd below. The royalist broke. 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 39 seconds. The king screamed orders from inside the citadel vault, buried deep under the throne. Deploy the Iron Chorus. Activate defense grid. Where are my sons? No answer. He slammed fists into the control panel. All systems offline. Screens looped the child's face. Over, and over, and over. Violroth turned to his last advisor. I am a god. The advisor's eyes were shaking. No, she whispered. You were. Then her head snapped forward, blood spilling from the bridge of her nose. A bullet hole in her forehead. The screen in front of her blinked. Revenant was watching. 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 55 seconds. Every royal was dead. 14 children. 5 wives. 2 mistresses. 600 blood-connected nobles. All gone. The oceans of Velda boiled at the equator. Ash had turned a geothermal core into a slow, ticking bomb. Every orbiting ship with a Veldarian transponder was set to self-destruct if they entered the atmosphere. And Boyd sat on the king's throne, alone, blood up to his elbows, bat resting across his lap like a religious symbol. He chewed on a piece of fruit. A grape, still chewing when Revenant walked in. Still chewing when Ash arrived through the side corridor, smoke rising from his palms. They didn't speak, just stood, 3 humans, covered in the wreckage of an empire. 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 42 seconds. The king's vault door opened. He came crawling out, his crown gone, his blade broken, eyes red, voice cracked. He dropped to his knees before them. "I beg you," he said. "Mercy. I will pay. I will." Boyd stood, walked over, bent down, looked him in the eye. "You remember the boy?" Vile Rother's lips trembled. He didn't answer. Boyd leaned closer. He didn't get a second chance. Then raised the bat, and brought it down. Once, then again, and again, until there was no more face, no more voice, no more king. Just meat and silence. 2 hours. Exactly. The bloodline of Valroth was no more. The palace was rubble. The towers were fire. The city was ash. The world broken. And Earth had said nothing. No declaration. No gloating. Just 3 names. 3 ghosts. And a video. The next morning, across the galactic net, every screen flickered to life. No warning. No signature. Just a message. A child. A slap. The king. Then the blood. And the words. You laid hands on a child. So we erase your entire future. The king could still hear the child scream. Even now, curled inside the Citadel vault, 5 miles beneath the bleeding bones of his palace, he could hear it. Not as sound, but as memory, as echo, as judgment. It scratched the inside of his skull like nails on glass. He was trembling. The great Vaoroth, Lord of Velda Prime, voice of the endless empire, king of the golden suns, shaking like a beaten animal in a steel coffin. The throne world was burning. His wives were dead. His sons turned to ash. His daughters erased, their names already forgotten. The great family line, proud and pure for 12,000 years, reduced to meat and dust in under 2 hours. Every royal temple desecrated. Every vault breached. Every ancestral monument split in half and fed into the sky. Earth hadn't just attacked. It hadn't retaliated. It had erased him. And now, all that remained was him, the last of his bloodline, a living relic of his own failure. He punched the console again. Nothing. Dead systems. Dead air. The orbital link was gone. The last signal from his fleet had come 30 minutes ago, a burst of static and screaming, followed by an unfamiliar voice whispering. She was only 7. Then silence. Now the walls closed in. The Citadel vault, once considered impregnable, felt like a tomb. Every failsafe had failed. Every security lock overridden. Every internal scanner was blind. The humans were coming. He could feel them, hear the footsteps in his mind. Cold, inevitable. For a moment, he stood, wobbled, looked down at his trembling hands. This isn't how it ends, he told himself. This isn't how a god falls. His voice echoed in his mind, hollow and useless. He went to the armory locker. Inside, 1 ceremonial plasma scythe, gifted to him during his 300-year rule. A weapon of myth, capable of cutting through starship hulls. Untouched since his coronation. He gripped it, let the heat crawl across his skin. The blade lit with a hungry whine. He turned to the door, and waited. 1 minute passed, then 2, then footsteps. Soft, deliberate, a slow rhythm echoing off the metal floors. The sound wasn't military. No boots, no march, just steps, casual, arrogant, human. A shadow moved beyond the reinforced glass of the vault's antechamber. The sensors didn't detect them. Of course they didn't. The Earth invaders weren't soldiers. They were something else. Something far worse. The king lowered his stance, blade angled downward, eyes narrowed. He was still strong. His muscles still held power. His core implant systems were active. He could fight. He would fight. He would not die begging. The vault door opened with a hiss. No alarms. No lockdowns. Just a quiet groan of pressure escaping steel. Smoke drifted in first. Then a figure stepped through. Boy. Pale skin. Soft features. Bat in hand. No armor. No tech. Just death in human shape. The king sneered. You send a child to kill a king. The boy said nothing. Just stepped forward. Another entered. Pale again. Freckles. Hollow eyes. His fingertips hummed with static. Sparks leapt from his shoulders like anxious flies. Then the last. Slender. Rifle in hand. A ghost face. Eyes like frostbite. 3 of them. No insignia. No names. And yet, the king knew who they were. He had heard the whispers before. Backroom talk from terrified diplomats. Files he had once deleted from Velda's databanks. The ones the Earth leaders denied even existed. Black Flag. The ones that didn't leave survivors. The king raised his weapon. You think you won, he growled. You slaughtered a dynasty. Burned a holy world. For what? A child? Do you think that makes you righteous? Silence. The pale hacker turned and walked toward the power core. Sat down on the floor and began typing on a projected interface only he could see. Sparks bloomed beneath his fingers. Code scrolled across the air. The Citadel's lights dimmed. The sniper lifted his rifle. Didn't point it. Just waited. Then the boy with the bat stepped forward. Slow. Measured. Eyes locked on the king. Vilroth gritted his teeth. You will kneel before me. No response. I'm a god. I held the line when galaxies broke. I led empires. You slapped a child, the boy said. His voice wasn't angry. It was quiet. Worse than hate. It was a statement. A verdict. Vilroth roared. He lunged. The side lit the room in violet fire. The blade screamed through air, slicing downward in a perfect arc. The boy ducked. 1 step forward. 1 swing. The bat cracked the king's ribcage with a sound like steel collapsing. He staggered. Another swing, this one to the knee. The bone snapped. The king screamed, dropped to 1 leg. Blood dripped from his mouth. He raised aside again. Too slow. The bat met his forearm. The plasma blade fell from his grip, clattered across the floor. Then came the rifle. 1 shot, straight through his shoulder. The sniper didn't move, didn't blink. Another shot, this one through the thigh. The king collapsed, chest heaving, bleeding from 5 places. He reached for the blade. The bat crushed his fingers. The king screamed again. Please, he stammered. The hacker looked up. We don't want your crown, he said. The sniper, we don't want your planets. The boy with the bat stepped over the king's body, knelt beside him. You took something from us, he whispered. We're just returning the favor. The king tried to speak again, but the bat came down. Once, then again, until there was no more sound, no more face, no more God, just blood, and the slow hum of the Citadel dying around them. The hacker stood. Detonation set. 1 minute. The sniper slung his rifle. The boy wiped the blood from the bat, using a torn piece of the king's robe. They left together. No speeches. No symbols. Just silence. Behind them, the vault lit with red alarms. Heat rose. The planet's core began to quake. Velda Prime would not survive the hour. The last transmission from the surface came through 30 seconds before the planet went dark. A video. The face of the child. The moment of the slap. Then the throne. Empty. Blood-drenched. And the words, in every galactic dialect. You hurt one of ours. We ended every one of yours. The galaxy did not understand what had happened. Not at first. Not when Velda Prime went dark. Not when the Citadel transmission cut out mid-scream. Not when the royal flag, black sun on crimson stars, vanished from every galactic broadcast. Not even when the Veldarian banking nexus collapsed in less than 3 seconds, erasing 12 centuries of inherited wealth. They didn't understand until the message arrived. Every major channel, every frequency, every screen. No encryption, no warning, Just one loop video. The child, the slap, the blood, the king's face, proud, sneering. Then static. Then the throne, ruined. Then a voice. You hurt one of ours. We ended every one of yours. No logo. No signature. No anthem. Earth didn't gloat. It simply reminded the stars that silence was not the same as surrender. The black flag division vanished again. No parades. No interviews. Their names never spoken aloud. Their faces scrubbed from every record. And Elian Morrow, age 7, fractured jaw, healing slowly in a quiet hospital bed on Earth's southern continent, woke up to a world that had moved mountain for him while he slept. He didn't understand what had happened either, only that his father never left the bedside, only that strange men in gray suits stood watch outside his room, only that the stars looked a little quieter now. Velda Prime burned for 7 days. They tried to send relief ships. They were denied, not by humans, by their own systems. Ash had rewritten everything. No coordinates responded. No AI recognized commands. All ships returning from Velda were erased from galactic tracking. The planet was gone, not in fire, but in memory. The name Varelroth was wiped from over 3,000 legal archives. His portraits corrupted. His statues collapsed. His family line no longer appeared on royal registries. He had not died a martyr. He had died forgotten. That was the final gift Earth gave him. Erasure. In the weeks that followed, the Galactic Council convened in quiet panic. 147 species, 6 empires, dozens of coalitions. They gathered in silence. For once, no one interrupted. No one postured. No one made threats. Because Earth hadn't made threats either, and they had watched the god fall. The Council's Grand Chancellor, a 3-lunge diplomat from the 5th Spiral Ring, tried to speak about justice, reconciliation, sanctions, but no one listened, because just before the vote, every screen flickered. Once again, the same footage, the same slap, the same child. Then a new image, 3 silhouettes, standing over a throne, one holding a rifle, one holding a bat, one with no weapon at all. And the voice returned, colder this time. You forgot what we were. You forgot what we are. We do not conquer. We do not invade. But if you touch our children, the screen pulse white. We end bloodlines. Silence. No demands followed. No instructions. Earth didn't ask for power. It didn't ask for gold. It just left the room. And the rest of the galaxy stayed very, very still. Empires folded. Royal houses deleted ancient decrees from their archives, policies that called humans inferior, primal, emotional. The word inferior no longer had value. Not after they watched the world die without a single army deployed. Just 3 ghosts with names no one would repeat. In private halls, the old ones whispered, Earth is not a member of the galactic family. It is the blade kept in the drawer, covered in dust, forgotten until someone dares to spill blood on its floor. And then it reminds them what rage looks like, what vengeance truly means. The lesson didn't end with Velda. A mercenary group from the Solvane Fringe, known for raiding colony ships, intercepted a passenger transport 2 months after Purge. 16 humans aboard. 4 children. The leader of the raid held a knife to a toddler's neck while demanding ransom. 3 hours later, the station housing their main fleet lost atmosphere. No alarms. No escape pods. No survivors. The toddler was found asleep in the escape chamber, clutching a folded Earth flag. Not a word was spoken from Earth Command. Not a claim of responsibility. But the message was clear. It was no longer diplomacy. It was do not touch them. The humans had waited a long time to join the stars, and the stars had mocked them, called them backward, violent, primitive. They were wrong about one thing. Humans weren't violent because they were primitive. They were violent because they remembered what it was like to be prey, to be colonized, enslaved, conquered. They knew how it felt to be small, and they had sworn, somewhere in their marrow, that no child of Earth would ever feel that again. Not while they still breathed, not while they still burned, not while there was still iron in the soil and fire in their hands. On Earth, the boy, Elian, left the hospital in silence. He was greeted with no fanfare. only his father waiting outside. They walked together, hand in hand. At school, no one mentioned the king. No one mentioned Velda. But every teacher looked a little longer when Elian passed. Every child was taught one new rule, written on every wall, spoken in every home. Touch one of us, and Earth will answer. No banners, no fleets, just judgment. Because what Earth had sent wasn't war. It wasn't even revenge. It was a warning written in blood and silence, that no matter how far humanity traveled, no matter how many treaties it signed, no matter how peaceful it claimed to be, if you strike their child, they will tear your heaven down and salt the ashes, and no one will remember your name. Only the message, only the silence that followed,